fiberglassing, and like any finishing method, preparation is the most important part. So you can see with the balsa layers, some of the layers will be end grain. You have to fill these and get them sanded nice and smooth before you put the fiberglass on, because this will really soak up the resin, and once it does that, it'll pull some of the resin out of the weave of the glass, and you'll have a little bit more work to do once the glass is on. So it's best to do it now. So what I do is I use a water-based putty. This is the stuff I use, available real cheap. Just take a blob of the stuff, I put it on there, and I just rub it in with my finger. And just keep rubbing and rubbing until you get the whole cowl done. And then once the whole cowl is done, you can use some fine paper, smooth it all out, and then we'll actually get to the glassing. So I've got the whole cowl covered with the filler now, and I'm good and messy. We'll just let that dry for a couple hours and then give it a sand with some fine paper before we start the fiberglassing. So here's the cowl after sanding. You see it's a nice pale white all over, so with the balsa just showing through. So we've gotten good coverage, and we sanded most of the filler off. I started with 220 grit, and once all the high spots were taken off, I switched to 320 and gave it a nice polishing with that. I can't stress enough how important the sanding part is in surface preparation. What's underneath is going to show through. The fiberglass won't hide anything. In fact, it'll just exaggerate any flaws. And you can see how any of the end grain's been filled up, so that's going to give us a really nice base coat for the fiberglass, and that's coming up next. Just a quick word about materials. The fiberglass cloth I'm using is 3/4 of an ounce per square yard, and for our metric friends, that is 25 grams per square meter approximately. It's very lightweight, as you can see. It doesn't add a lot of strength, but it really does add a nice tough surface. So this is the stuff you want. Don't use heavier unless you're really looking to add a lot of strength, which in most cases you're not, because you're just using it for finishing. Also for finishing resin, I've been using this epoxy finishing resin. It works really well. It hardens really nice, sands really well. It's good stuff. And being an epoxy, it doesn't stink. You can also use polyester resin. That's the stuff that you would get in auto body repair kits, that type of thing, which also works, but it stinks like mad. And sometimes it doesn't cure properly, especially if there's any epoxy on the part that you're going to fiberglass. It just stays gummy and doesn't cure. Don't use regular 5-minute epoxy or 30-minute epoxy that you would normally use for gluing. It won't harden properly. It'll stay gummy, and it won't sand well at all, and you'll just have a mess on your hands. So use a finishing resin, and this stuff, like I say, works really well. I think you can get it at most hobby shops or online hobby shops, something similar anyway. The cloth I got from a Canadian supplier. They have a website, www.thunderboltrc.com, all one word, just like it sounds. Thunderbolt RC also has some other nice supplies for detailing and things like that, which I'll get to later. For our American friends, I imagine you can get the cloth again at most hobby shops or an online supplier. And Europe, I have no idea, but I'm sure that they have it over there too. You notice I've cut the cloth to shape with a sharp pair of scissors, and I've cut it so that when it's draped over, it'll hang over, give me a nice overlap. And I've also made these cutouts here in the cowl. I've made a circle, marked it, and so what that'll let us do is once it's in, is we can fold these down underneath. Sorry for the hand. We can fold these down underneath, and it'll cover the inside lip of the cowl and give us a good surface for finishing there as well.